Welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Brandon, and today we're going over Magia Record. Now, the deck we're looking at today is actually a variant of a deck that was played against me pretty early on. I had an opportunity to play against Ryan Wibberley, and he was testing out this variant of the deck coming over from Japan from a guy named Rintaro. All this stuff you can also find in Taya's blog post about Magia Record, which is an exhaustive listing of just about everything going on in Magia Record, a lot of the different tech pieces and different kinds of builds that people are working with. So if you check that out, we're going to have a link in the description to that. She did an amazing job compiling all of that information as well as getting that out there. Now, the deck today, as you can see from the overview, is a bit more concise of cards as opposed to one-ofs here and there. A lot more four-ofs. That, I think, allows this deck to be a little bit more consistent in what it's trying to do. So this is the listing that I've put together based off of being played against, and then tested myself to some success. So as we begin to dive in at level 0, we're going to take a look at some of the tech pieces here. We have a Ricky that also can affect levels to one of your characters during the climax phase, which is really helpful for a level 1 card we'll get to in a little bit. We also have a drop search that with 2 or less stock can become a 3/5, so getting relatively big. Not quite the 4K oversized, but a good 3/5. You'll notice that the next one as well, which gets a marker and a +1 level if the top card is a character that it then puts underneath as a marker. So another 3/5 here, so a couple 3/5s already off the bat. So you kind of win board at level 0, typically against especially decks that are running a lot of utility pieces as opposed to oversizes. We also have a interesting tech piece that can, on play, or when it gets reversed, you can scry the top card of your deck. Leave it on top or put it on bottom. At level 2, it has an interesting combination where you can send this card to stock and then pull a card and place it on that spot. With the cost being running to stock, you can actually do that and then choose no target. So this deck doesn't actually run the target for that effect, but instead, just that way at level 2, you can just play it on play, top check, use it as a brainstorming piece, and send it to stock. Because our brainstormer here is a salvage brainstorm, but it's a pay 1, tap 2 brainstorm. So you can use our on-play scry, use it as then a part of the brainstorm, send it to stock at level 2, and then you have another slot to be able to play something else down. Part of the reason we run this brainstormer is because of this main phase scry. So at the beginning of main phase, you're always able to check the top card of your deck. So you know what you're going to trigger, you know potentially if you want to brainstorm. So it gives you a lot of information right off the bat each turn. So at level 0 overall, we have a lot of cards that are going to be competing for board, as well as helping you to search the top card of your deck and moving forward the cards you need at later levels. When we get to level 1, we have our climax combo, which is on attack, stock a character from waiting room. Can get up to, especially if you have a full field, 6K, climax 7K. You also then have the JC, which allows you to be able to pay 1, sacrifice itself to then send another character from stage back into hand. So you can use that to help save characters, especially the combo, if you want to try to loop the combo again. So that way you can continue to build that stock up for your endgame, as well as compress through stock. Especially since you're able to stock a magic character, you can stock any of the characters, so you can get rid of cards you don't need anymore. Maybe some of those oversized level 0s. Allow you to benefit from running more oversized 0s to then remove them from your waiting room after they've been beaten. We also then have our counter here. It's a 1/1 counter, but it's a Leafa counter at level 1, which is really helpful, especially here with the JC, and then you also have the decently high defense at 6K combo, whereas a lot of combos are falling back, especially ones on cigarettes like Slime's Shizu. Fall back to about 4K, 4/5. This allows you to potentially defend your field and, again, help loop that combo forward. Also helps you to draw those cancels forward, so you're able to cancel more often with it, stay at level 1, and loop that combo. So it's a really interesting combination of cards to help move forward through the deck right here at this level and then beyond. As we reach level 2, Our only level 2 cards are the 2k to assist level 3s, which also you can pay 1 to heal 1 and then send itself to memory. So it's a really interesting memory effect. You kind of want to delay so you can use that ability to gain power on field if you need it, or if you don't need the power on field to heal. Really interesting combination of effects there. We also then have the 2/1 5 or less cards in deck, free fresh. This allows you to then compress a card from waiting room to memory if you have 2 or less cards in memory. So there's a condition there, which is why you want to, on the other card, kind of almost wait to heal to memory so you can get those cards in memory ready to go. Try to maximize that capacity there and then send the other to memory. Which is why we also don't run some of the other level 0s that can run to memory. So that way we can maximize the free fresh capabilities here. It also gets 4k when you free fresh, so level 2 that become a 12k for just playing it to field. Very helpful, especially when you combine it with some of these level 3 pieces as well. We run 2 different early play healers. One's a 4 or more characters, hexproof, and 1.5k throughout your opponent's next turn. So you have a 10k on field, especially combined with the back row, 12k with hexproof. So your opponent's not going to be able to My Little Shido this. So you have some opportunities there with especially the backing up to all those effects, 14k, very helpful to defend that mid game. Our other early plays at 2 or less climaxes in waiting room, especially with the free fresh. This works really well. Gets 1k for each back row, so it becomes 11k by itself if you have 2 pieces in the back row. So with these cards, you can use that to keep healing down at level 2. So you're trying to stall out essentially at level 2, focusing in on that compression, trying to stick small amounts of damage and not take any damage yourself. When you do reach level 3, the combo here is very helpful for closing out games. We have a pay 2, ditch 2, which allows you then to choose either 2, 3, or 4 as your burn number on attack. Knowing what your opponent's deck state looks like really affects what number you want to choose here, whether 2, 3, or 4. Knowing ratios can help you quite a bit to use this to its most effective endgame precise burn, closing out the game from there. So as we look at kind of this objective of the decks, as we kind of begin to close out here, level 0, you have your oversizes to try to help win board while you're getting your level 1 pieces. Once you hit level 1, that stock charge combo, using the JC to help loop some of your pieces, preserving hand as much as possible, so that way you can continue to maintain this advantage through hand, through stock, through compression as you go into the later parts of the game. Level 2, focus on that free fresh healing, trying to prevent damage as much as possible as you stall, continuing forward. Compressing your deck, again, trying to do that heal, stall, compress, so you can deal damage and your opponent can't. When you reach level 3, precise burn for the win. Close out that game with effectiveness, with the hand that you've been saving from level 1 up to use as your discard outs for the burns. Now, from a competitive level, I really want to put this at a locals level because this deck is really weak to stock swap. You can have 10, 12 stock relatively quickly and relatively easily. So the decks that have stock swap can be oppressive to it, especially if you get in the right conditions and right spots. So maintaining an eye on where your deck is, as well as how much stock you're generating, is a very important part of this deck. So if you're not being too careful, or if you're trying to stock up so much that you can really focus on that compression, be wary of decks that have stock swap. Weiss Schwarz put out a good video about stock swap, so I encourage you to check that out and see kind of what that looks like of timing-wise of when it's ideal to stock swap. So again, I'm going to get an overview of the deck once more. Ratios, again, very high regarding number counts for each of these cards. Runs the climax as being a bag at level 1 and then choice at the top end, so you're able to kind of continually stock or continually bring cards into hand to help mess with that compression going forward, so your free freshes are more and more effective as you keep going in the game. With that, that's been Magia Record. I hope you enjoyed. We're going to have some gameplay of this on Thursday. And then next week, we're going to have another clock talk. So looking forward to that. Hope you guys have the good rest of the day and enjoy Magia Record.